Hi, everybody. It's Carissa,
And Coach your time.
and we are joining you guys today for another installation in how to really get through this difficult time and how to kind of reframe what's going on with this whole COVID-19 coronavirus situation. Today, we really wanted to focus on a major one, which is really just how to raise your vibrations. And now I know that's something we hear all the time. I think it's like super oversaturated because we hear it and it's like, oh, raise your vibrations. Either it's like overused, kind of like toxic is like the word of the year. Like it's just really overused, or it's something that's kind of like like kind of out there, with this association. So we kind of just wanted to take a moment to kind of reframe what raising your vibrations are and how that's going to be beneficial for you in this situation. So realistically, we kind of look at raising your vibrations as a form of like energy and instinct, right? It's kind of where it starts. So it's kind of like that gut intuition, or when you go, I should have followed my first mind with that. Like there's something in us that's naturally connected to ourselves and the things around us, right? And so when you take that kind of energy that's being sent out, it's vibrating at a certain wavelength, right? And the positive vibration concept comes from when you have a situation, how you respond to that situation in light and in love. So it's kind of like you had an instinct about something bad happening. And so you decided to listen to that instinct and respond in a positive way, and it counteracted it and it made a positive outcome. I think it's kind of the best way I would kind of put in this instance.
Yeah, I think that's good.
It's kind of like the same thing with this. And it reminds me of a quote that I heard earlier that I felt was so appropriate. It's what we consume consumes us. So now let's take that and apply that to this whole COVID-19 situation. If we're sitting here and we're constantly watching the news and we see, oh, and this is not like the little statistic, I'm not even bothering like for this video, but if we see something where they're saying like it is a 3% mortality rate, right? We see that and we're watching it constantly. We're watching this constant coverage of Louisiana is now has the highest rate, and New York is on lockdown, and the entire state of Illinois is, locked down.
California.
And this is happening and people are dying and there's only 11,000 ventilators and we need 30,000. So, and our cases are rising more than China. When we are constantly consuming that type of negativity, we're going to get that kind of negativity kind of implanted in us, kind of a thing. And so the part of raising your vibration becomes, okay, I'm watching the news. Sometimes we can't pull away. It might be the easier thing to do. But if we're going to specifically raise our vibrations, it's about what to do when you're in the thick of things, right? And so it's, okay, I see the statistic is constantly saying there's a 3%, again, don't quote me, mortality rate. It's in that moment, instead of like absorbing that and going, oh my gosh, no, people are dying. Oh my gosh. It's, okay, 97% of people are surviving.
Turning it
to something good. Just reframing it. Yes.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's taking it that next step and going, okay, there's a 3% rate. I really want to just, pray for the families of those people and see how that's going through. And it doesn't even mean it has to be some long time prayer. I am not saying by any means that you are required to get down on your knees right before bed and give like a 1-hour confessional on things happening in your life. Like, let me repent first and then let me jump in and pray for them. It doesn't have to be one of those. It is literally just stopping in a moment and being like, you know what? I really hope that these people are getting through this tough time. I know that this can be complicated. I send light to them. I send love to them. I really hope that everything is going to be okay. I can feel their heaviness. I can feel everything that's going on. I can imagine what it feels like to be in that situation and exactly what I would need to feel in order to make me feel better. I send that type of love their way, that whatever they need to help them get through this, I hope they receive it.
In that moment.
Boom.
In that moment, in that moment. Because if you don't in that moment, a lot of times the day gets away from you. And, by the time you pray, you forgot about that particular thing because it's something that's so quick.
Yeah.
And then you forget about it. So, yeah, definitely in that moment, just take a minute. Like you said, just take a minute.
And that quickly you raise a vibration. You raise your own by instead of allowing that fear and negativity to implant inside of you. Like, oh my gosh, this is why we have to stay in the house. Out of fear, it's like, no, We're staying in the house because it's the right thing to do to prevent the spread. It's the right thing to do so that other people aren't going through what that 3% is experiencing. Mm-hmm. That is the concept of raising your vibration. Yeah. And that is going to be a really key tool for you to get through this, is that constant reframing and saying, okay, how can I turn this into something that is going to make this vibrate higher, make me feel higher, and not weigh me down? And that's the best way I can say to think of it. If it's weighing you down, you're vibrating low. Yeah. If you can find a way to make it feel better, then you're raising your vibration. If you can find a way to make somebody else feel better, you're raising your vibration.
And anytime that you are thinking about someone else other than yourself, mm-hmm. Because sometimes that can help you tremendously, if you are taking that energy, taking those vibrations, and you putting that off on somebody else to take the focus off of you. Because a lot of times when you take the focus off of yourself and start to think about others, or think about, doing something for somebody else in a more positive light, or mm-hmm. praying for them, mm-hmm. or whatever, then that takes the focus off of you to help you to raise your vibration, because you're actually thinking about somebody else instead of just thinking about what you're going through in that moment and just being just all into it and just letting it just consume you.
Yeah, and that, again, that key thing, that what you consume consumes you. So if you're constantly consuming that negativity, you're gonna feel negative, because that's what you're feeding yourself. It's a proverbial meal that you're feasting on, and you can become addicted to it like you can anything. We can become addicted to sugar, and that's why we have Kick the Sugar Habit, workshops, because some people become addicted to that. You can become addicted to your comfort foods because you're constantly consuming things that make you feel good, that releases those endorphins to you, and then that's what you're doing. It's the same thing. It's a proverbial consumption.
Exactly.
And that's why you have to be really careful what you are. And then it's kind of putting that back out the same way the human body has an elimination process. You consume food, but it still comes back out. It doesn't stay in you, because if it does, you get sick, it builds up. And it's the same thing with the things that you are consuming. What are you putting back out? If you're consuming a bunch of knowledge about COVID-19, or really anything, I'll generalize in this instance, even though this is about, it's inspired by the whole COVID situation. But if you're constantly only absorbing the knowledge about it, what are you doing with it? Mm-hmm. If you're watching this all day and you're learning about everything pertaining to this, are you personally going to go into the hospital and go treat people? Are you trying to get your virtual reality news doctorate and you're going to do something why are you doing it?
With the information?
Exactly. You really have to ask yourself, what is my point?
Besides absorbing it.
And if you're just absorbing, it lets you know you're consuming, and you're not eliminating that it's something that is going to bring you down, aka make you vibrate lower. Now, if you're consuming it because you are going to go volunteer somewhere, you're consuming it because it's okay, now I know what not to do so I can better equip myself and people within my community who may not be ready, then that's great. That's going to raise those vibrations, but you got to figure out how to balance that in order to create a more positive situation out of a negative situation that's going on here.
And to pass that on as well. Because if you, like you said, if you look at a situation and it's 3% people, that it's affecting, just right. And then 97, you look at it from a different perspective. The next time you talk to someone, you can pass that information along, and then that person will be like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. And then that person passes on to the next person. You've just raised the vibration of 3 people.
Good. That was a really valid point.
So you're paying it forward, and you're raising the vibration, and that's something that we really, really, really need right now, with so much fear going on.
Yes.
It's just about finding the positive in it and looking for the good in the situation.
Yeah.
And when you find that positive and you look for that good in that situation, again, not only does it help you, but it helps you to help the next person, and so on and so forth. And I think that's really important. That's huge in raising the vibration too, because you're constantly passing it on, and hopefully the next person will pass it on, or maybe they'll think of their own positive in it and they'll pass that positive on, and or and just constantly raise the vibration.
I love that, because this virus is spreading. It's a negative thing, and then when we talk about it negatively, we're giving power to it, and we're spreading the negativity. So why not spread the cure, spread positivity, and go, oh, did you see that? Oh, this is great. This county is on lockdown, or Illinois is on lockdown. That is so exciting, because that means it is really going to lessen the chances of A, B, C, D happening. Like, speaking of, instead of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's lockdown. Like, oh, it's going to happen. Just reframe though, and spread that in a positive way. Oh yes, 97% of people are making it. Yes. I love seeing that so many people are surviving. Yes. People are fighting. They're making it happen. Those families are going to celebrate after this. This is going to change something in their lives. I hope that they're going to find their purpose and their belief after that. Like, spread it in that positive way. Make that positive, high vibration the topic of conversation. I love that.
And the more you say it, the more it sticks in you, so that you really do believe that. Yeah. I mean, that will help you tremendously, because another thing that they say is that your thoughts become your reality. Yes. So when you're constantly thinking of something negatively, or you're allowing fear to consume you, or you're, looking at things in a gloom and a doom kind of way, that's going to become your reality. Yeah. I mean, because you're going to keep thinking it and thinking it and eventually it's going to happen, So if you're going to think something, think good thoughts, think positive thoughts, think those thoughts that's going to raise the vibration of not just you, not just your family, but the planet as a whole. This is affecting everyone. It's a global, so you just never know that person, depending upon people who if you know somebody in Paris and you say it to somebody in Paris, and that person might know somebody in Europe and say it to somebody in Europe, and you just never know the effect of it, and being able to pass that along and to really raise that vibration all across the planet. Like, it can make such a huge difference than to be walking around in that fear all the time.
And when you said that, made me think of the Gandhi quote that I love so much, and I didn't want to paraphrase it, so I looked it up very specifically, but it's where he says, your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, your habits become your values, and your values becomes your destiny. So starting with something just like this, like, what am I believing? Okay, I'm believing it's going to be okay, not that it's like this epidemic is going to kill everyone. Instead, it's something that we're going to overcome, and then that becomes my thought process. And then as I continue to think about it, that's what I speak that type of positivity. And then as I'm speaking that positivity, it becomes my actions, and then I start acting in such a way that it's going to be okay. I find those things to counteract it, and what I can do, and then it becomes a habit. It started with this COVID-19 situation, but now you've trained yourself in such a way that it's a habit. You do it effortlessly, which is kind of what our coaching practice, I'm not going to say kind of, it is literally what our coaching practice is built on. It's a transformational coaching method, which is about helping people to build habits. Right. So we know how powerful that is. Yeah, positive habits and behaviors. And then now you're doing that with this. You're building that, constant words and thoughts and beliefs and actions, that now it's a habit. It's just a part of who you are. So it gets to the point that even once things are restored to a more normal fashion, because I don't believe that things are ever going to be the same after this. This is an energy shift that has completely transitioned us into something new. But I think even as we transition into this new way of life, there's still an old way of thinking, which is that positive thinking that becomes your new way of thinking that you carry in. So if you're going past that accident and you see, things, instead of rubbernecking and just trying to see what's going on, I think it becomes that habit and goes, I really pray and hope that they are okay. It becomes that type of thing where you start to look at it and learn, how do I apply that into other things going forward? And I would say the easiest way, in my opinion, especially during this pandemic, to start applying that is literally just start looking at the positive in everything. So if you're thinking of something in a negative light, think of the opposite to counteract it. So if you're seeing someone buying a ton of stuff, don't get irritated and go, oh my gosh, they are panic buying and that's so selfish because someone else is going to need it. maybe instead go, you know what, they probably have their mom and dad at home, and I see that he has on a wedding ring, which means his wife's mom and dad are probably here. He's probably getting it for those four elderly matriarchs of the family. Instead of sending them out, he's doing it on their behalf.
Exactly.
Maybe they have a special needs kid at home and they can't, just continue to get out there. This is the only opening. He's getting it now. Maybe this person isn't panic buying. Maybe they just want to adhere to the social distancing, so they're getting what they can, so they're not continuing to come out. That's a way of positive thinking, and it's a way that's raising that vibration, because now you're no longer irritated, and you're no longer feeding into this like narrative that's going around that everyone is like selfish and like out here doing the most.
Yeah.
You realize that it could be something, and it might not be true, but guess what? You feel a lot better afterwards.
Yep. And you know, that made me think. I was reading an article where a lot of the people are respecting the social distancing, and so the children are going out and getting their mothers or fathers or grandmothers, and they're not even going into the house. They're just dropping the stuff off on the porch, just so that they can have the stuff, because they want to protect them and keep them protected.
So they're not even just at their
Exactly.
risk
So
altogether.
it's a strong possibility that people could be out there. We're not saying that it's not any hoarders out there. We're not blind to the fact that some people are just being a little extra. But there may be some cases where there's an exception to the rule.
But it's that positive way of thinking. And now when you talk about it, instead of saying, oh my gosh, I went to the store again today and I saw another person buying, there was no soap, there was no this, there was no that. It's like, I saw this person getting stuff in bulk. I really feel like maybe they were getting after their family. That was so good to see somebody out there doing it. It's like, why is it worse to think the best,
Right.
than assume the worst?
And
And then you spread that, and then somebody else goes, oh my gosh, I was talking to Carissa today,
Exactly.
and she saw somebody out there that was getting it for their family, and then it becomes this constant thing. And again, now you're spreading the positivity instead of the negativity, or like the rumors, or playing into like this negative stereotype that's really going around everywhere about everything. And even if it ain't true, so what? I'd rather talk about something good and hope it was something positive than something negative.
Exactly.
Raise the vibration.
And you have to pay attention to your environment too, because when you're having low vibration conversations, or conversations that is about consuming you or being in a negative impact, are your children around? Are they taking that in? And then they see mom or dad or whatever, like in this headspace, and so this is an opportunity for you to even turn that around for them and say, you know what, kids, I know this is what they're saying, I know, but to look at it from another standpoint, it could be, that they're going to get whatever, or whatever the case may be. So this could even help families, to help raise vibration in whole families, in the way you have conversation around the house, because kids listen, they pick up stuff. So when you're trying to raise those vibrations, you're not just raising it for yourself, you're raising it for your family, you're raising it for your neighbors, you're raising it for your state, the planet, the earth, the whatever, you're raising it for everybody. So that's something you want to keep in mind too, definitely, to reframe that for your family, for the kids, because you are their example. And they're watching you.
Isn't it like the saying is like, children are 90% of what they see and 10% of what they're taught?
Exactly. So that makes a huge difference too. And just overall, we're not saying not to deal with what you're feeling. Deal with it. Just don't go down the rabbit hole with it where you're not able to pull yourself out of it. Feel what you're going to feel, and then reframe. Find a way to reframe it for yourself. If you're in that place and you just feel like you're just down, and you just, as a coach, that would definitely be something that we would tell you. Yeah, feel it. Be one with it.
Feel through it.
But don't let it take you out. And then just find a way to bring yourself up out of it slowly, surely, and then start to try to look for the positive, and try to look for things that's going to raise your vibration, and not just have you feeling like you're being consumed.
Yeah, and that's big. And to kind of piggyback back to when you were speaking of how it's being done and how that can play into the children. I would say that also, I think a big part of the importance of why it's so big to be high in your vibrations is just that overall we see like those stories on social media where it's like, oh my gosh, that little boy took his $600 savings and made care packages for the elderly.
Oh,
This
I
kid,
love those.
created this product and
I
they're
love
donating
those.
that. I believe stuff like that starts in households where vibrations are high.
Yeah.
And you never know that the way that you're speaking, obviously is something that your children can pick up and apply to their lives altogether. But kind of more importantly, it could really prompt them to become innovators, because where there is a problem, there's always a solution.
Yep.
And so the
It is.
problem is constantly spoken of and it's so widespread. But if you're always speaking in terms of like the positive, or that something about this needs to be fixed, who's to say that you or those you're speaking to or your children can't be the solution to that problem?
That's right.
I think a really big part of high vibration is creating leaders and creating innovators
Oh,
and
I
things like
love
that.
that.
And the stuff like that starts here.
Yes,
And
that is
so let's
good.
start it here. There's no better time than now. It's not to say that they're going to go out there and be like, ooh, I created the cure to COVID-19. But there are other problems that are
It
existing right
is.
now
It is.
that need fixing.
Mhm.
And who's to say they won't fix it? And it doesn't even have to be something on like a tangible level, like, they came up with an invention, but it could be that they could come up with just some type of perspective or some type of saying or some type of thought that could really spark something in you or other people.
Exactly, and you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say the same thing too, because they can, if you reframe that in another way, it can make them think in another way and bring out their creativity and their imagination, and they could contribute to something that you don't even know that they were capable of contributing to, because you're feeding that, you're feeding those high vibrations. And so yeah, that's a really good point. I like that.
And I am a
Yeah.
firm believer that the most valuable and important thing that you can do is feed the next generation.
Oh.
I am so pro
Mhm.
feeding your next generation, because
Mhm.
everything we do, we pass the torch to them. And the sooner that we cultivate those things, the better it's going to be as they get older and they can't do something about it, the better type of people they become out in society. But this is really when the time starts as well. So it's something that's going to make you feel great, but it's something that is also has the ability to be so influential to those around you.
I agree. I agree.
So let's raise those energies. And
Let's
if you're
raise
having
them.
some issues,
Raise
like
those
kind of with
vibrations.
it,
I'm
and you're
feeling those
finding,
good vibrations.
and so if you're finding that you're having issues, so like me, I had to positively reframe that, like, oh, that was cute.
I just felt that in the moment. Okay.
So adorable. So if you're having issues and
Oh
you
my
find that
gosh.
like you can't find the positive in situations, reach out. Like literally, again, that's kind of some of the points of these videos, is to prompt those thoughts in you, but to also let you know that we're here for that. We're not saying like, ooh, we're going to charge you for coaching. That's not even what these are. These
Right,
are
this is
literally
not.
just these are things that are happening. And while these things are happening, we have to find our way to be high vibrational
Exactly.
and give back in those instances. And this is
Exactly.
the type of thing in which we want to give back on. These are really big struggles that are becoming problems, or it might have been something that sparked like that light bulb for you, and it was like, I could really really work on having more high vibrational speech and thoughts. How do I get through it? We'd be happy to coach you through it. We have
Yes.
techniques that we utilize that will help you to get there. And if you're wanting to know more about those techniques, you're wanting to test them, you're wanting to see, hit us up,
Yeah,
DM
definitely.
us, respond on the comment, and we will respond and help you to get through that.
You can go to our website, B3HL Coaching, BE3HLcoaching.com. You can go to our Twitter, same thing, B3HL Coaching. And Facebook, same handle,
Instagram, all the
and
same.
Instagram. You can always DM us, post it on our page. You can send us a message through our website. But we are definitely here for you.
Yes.
And we hope that you
We'll take advantage of
take
that.
advantage of that. Yeah, because this is the time.
Yeah.
And we're being authentic, and we want to make sure to be able to just share that with you.
Yeah.
If you need it, we're here
Yeah.
for sure.
So again, comment, let us know, DM us, and is there something that you're struggling with? Of course, we have some preset things that we're observing or that we ourselves may be feeling that we deem it important to discuss, but these are for you. So if you have anything that you're struggling with during this time, literally anything, if it's like, I just want to eat right and boost my immunity, how do I go about doing it? I want to work on positive thinking. I'm struggling, working from home. I realized that being home with my spouse all day was not the greatest thing for our relationship,
I realized that being at home with the kids all day was not what I signed on for, because it's still the school year. I was supposed to have until the summer to mentally acclimate myself for that.
Yeah, so it's like there's different things that you might have going on. So also let us know, and we'd happily do a video on it, something quick, just respond to you in general. But there may be other people feeling like that, so we'll happily do a video on that as well. We're kind of just looking for some of anything from you also, because we're here to serve you. So
exactly,
let us know.
Yes, definitely. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we were able to help you to raise your vibrations just by watching our video.
Yes.
That would be a start, and then you can just kind of take it from there.
All right. So be well, be healthy, and believe in yourself.
Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.